most terrifying boundary in the universe has no color, no texture, no sound. You can cross it without ever knowing. The future is not in front of you, it is below you, and you are already falling. There is a real object, measured, photographed, catalogued, 10.4 billion light-years from where you are sitting, where that sentence is not a metaphor, it is physics. It is what the most precise equations ever written by humanity state, without ambiguity, about what happens inside. T.O.N. 618. And what you are about to discover in this video is not its size. It is not its mass. It is what it does to the nature of reality itself. Here is what you know about time. It moves forward, always in the same direction. From the past toward the future. You cannot reverse it. You cannot stop it. No matter where you are on this planet, no matter how fast you travel, time passes. It is the most fundamental rule of your existence, more fundamental than gravity, more universal than light. Here is what you know about space. It holds things. It is the stage on which everything happens. You can move through it, left, right, up, down, in any direction you choose. Space is neutral. Space does not force you anywhere. And here is what you know about reality. What is happening here, right now, is real. What you see is what exists. The universe has a present state, and you are living inside it. 3 certainties, fundamental, unshakable. The backbone of every way you have ever understood the world. T.O.N. 618 destroys all 3, not approximately, not poetically, mathematically. Einstein's equations of general relativity, the same equations that keep GPS satellites accurate to within meters and predict the trajectories of spacecraft with perfect precision. Those equations state clearly what happens inside a black hole. And what they state is this: inside, time becomes a dimension of space. Space and time swap their roles. What you call the future, that direction you feel yourself moving toward, becomes a direction in space. And like all directions in space, it has an end toward which everything falls, without exception. In 1957, on a photographic plate taken at the Tenantcintla Observatory in Mexico, an astronomer noted a faint point of light, the 618th on his list. He wrote, "Faint blue star," and moved on. It took 15 years to realize the mistake. It was not a star. It was not even in our galaxy. The light from that object had traveled 10.4 billion years to reach that photographic plate. It had left its source before the sun existed, before the Earth existed. It had left when the universe itself was still a chaotic infant, barely out of the Big Bang. And what it revealed was a quasar. A quasar is not a star. It is the scream of a black hole feeding. When a supermassive black hole swallows matter, gas, dust, entire stars torn apart by gravity, that matter spirals inward. It compresses, it generates friction, it heats to temperatures of several billion degrees, and it shines. With a luminosity that exceeds anything physics seem to permit. T.O.N. 618 shines with the power of 140 trillion suns. Take our entire galaxy, the Milky Way, its 400 billion stars, that river of light you sometimes see on summer nights, and multiply it by 1,000. T.O.N. 618. A single object outshines 1,000 Milky Ways combined, but the light is only a symptom. What generates that light is the monster at the center, 66 billion times the mass of our sun, compressed into a single point. To try to visualize that, our galactic black hole, Sagittarius A star, the one sleeping at the center of the Milky Way, weighs 4 million solar masses. For decades, we thought that was a limit, that black holes could not grow beyond a few million, maybe a few tens of millions of solar masses. Sagittarius A star was our mental ceiling. T.O.N. 618 is 16,500 times more massive than Sagittarius A star, 16,500 times. Astronomers had to invent a new word, not supermassive, ultramassive, because super was no longer enough. Its event horizon, the boundary that nothing can cross in reverse, has a radius of 1,300 astronomical units,
One astronomical unit is the distance from the Earth to the Sun. Pluto orbits at 40 units. You could line up dozens of entire solar systems across its diameter.
As we approach T.O.N. 618, something begins to happen to time. Not suddenly, gradually. General relativity predicts that the closer you are to a massive object, the slower time moves for you, relative to someone far away. This is gravitational time dilation. It is not science fiction. The clocks aboard GPS satellites are routinely corrected for this effect. Without those corrections, GPS systems would drift by several kilometers every single day. But around T.O.N. 618, this effect becomes something else entirely. Imagine a clock approaching the horizon, closer and closer. For someone watching from outside, that clock slows down. It ticks, more slowly, then slower still. The light it emits shifts progressively toward red, stretched by gravity. And just before the horizon, the clock appears to freeze completely. It never enters. It slows to stillness and vanishes into the red. From the outside observer's perspective, you never went in. But from your perspective, you have been inside for a long time. Two realities, contradictory, both genuinely true. That is what general relativity says. There is no absolute reference frame. There is no single true reality above the two. They coexist. The universe contains regions where different observers can have fundamentally incompatible timelines, and neither of them is wrong. And for T.O.N. 618 specifically, there is something even more unsettling. T.O.N. 618 is so massive, so enormous, that tidal forces at its event horizon are nearly zero. Tidal forces are what tear objects apart as they approach a black hole, the difference in gravity between their front face and their back. For small black holes, those forces are devastating well before the horizon. But for T.O.N. 618, the horizon is so far from the center that the curvature of space there is still relatively gentle. You could cross the event horizon of T.O.N. 618 and feel nothing. No signal, no pain, no visible boundary, not the slightest change in what your senses perceive. The crossing into a fundamentally different regime of reality would be silent. You are inside now. Here is what the equations state. Time, that direction you have felt yourself moving through, that linear and continuous thing you have experienced every second of your existence, is now a dimension of space. It points in a direction, and in that direction lies the singularity. You cannot choose not to move toward the singularity for the same reason you cannot choose not to move toward the future. It is not a force pushing you. It is the geography of this place. The future, here, is a direction in space. And like all directions in space, there is somewhere it leads. The singularity is not below you. It is not at the center. It is in the future. It is where tomorrow leads. Take a moment to let that settle. Outside, you can move through space in any direction. Up, down, left, right. You choose. Time, however, moves forward whether you want it to or not. Inside, those roles reverse. The temporal direction becomes spatial. You can move through it freely. But the spatial direction pointing toward the singularity becomes temporal. You can no longer avoid it. Space and time have swapped their natures. And now, causality. Outside, causes always precede effects. That is the foundation of logic, of physics, of science itself. A produces B. The past determines the future. But inside a black hole, certain solutions to Einstein's equations allow geometries where this rule is no longer guaranteed. Closed, time-like curves. Effects without identifiable causes. Regions where the arrow of time breaks down. Physics does not formally forbid these configurations. It describes them. And there is one final thing, something the equations assert, and that the human mind physically resists accepting. The singularity at the center of a black hole is not a place in space. It is a moment in time. A moment toward which everything that enters the black hole converges, inevitably. Not a location, an instant. The death of a star, the destruction of matter, the erasure of information do not happen somewhere. They happen when?
Calibration test to stabilize the character's voice. And this is where T.O.N. 618 stops being an astronomical object. It becomes a question. When two observers, one inside, one outside, experience two radically incompatible timelines of the same event, which one is right? Which one is living in the real reality? The answer physics gives is uncomfortable. Both. There is no absolute reference frame from which the universe could be observed as it truly is. There are only perspectives, reference frames, local realities, each coherent within itself, but irreconcilable with each other. Reality is not singular, it is multiple, and its different versions never meet. Now, if time can become space, if causality can break down, if two observers can live contradictory realities, what guarantees that your rules, the rules you have used since birth to decide what is real and what is not, are universal? The answer is nothing. Your rules are local. They work here, in this regime of physics, in this region of the universe where space-time curvature is weak, where gravity is gentle, where energy density is low. The beginning. The light our telescopes are capturing from T.O.N. 618 tonight. That light left its source when the universe was less than 4 billion years old. The Earth did not exist. The Sun did not exist. There was not a single atom in the universe arranged into anything you would recognize. That light crossed 10.4 billion years of void, expansion, galaxies, nebulae, and emptiness, to land on a mirror at the top of a mountain. And that mirror produced an image. And humans looked at that image and began to read what it was saying. What it says is not reassuring. It is not meant to be. It says that in the universe you inhabit, there are regions where the fundamental rules of your reality, linear time, traversable space, causality, the present as a shared thing, no longer apply. It says those rules are not the rules of the universe. They are the rules of your neighborhood. It says that you live inside conditions that make possible a certain experience of reality, and that other conditions exist, other regimes, other geometries of space-time, where the word now no longer has shared meaning. T.O.N. 618 does not threaten us. It is too far away. It is retreating. The expansion of the universe ensures we will never grow any closer. But it does something more destabilizing than threaten. It proves. It proves that reality as you experience it, with its stable directions, its forward-moving time, its causes and effects, is a local reality. A neighborhood reality, a reality permitted by the particular conditions of this particular region of the universe. And somewhere, 10.4 billion light-years away, behind a wall of blinding light, another reality exists, where the future is a direction in space, where two observers can live contradictory timelines and both be right, where now is not a shared thing, where you could cross the boundary between two regimes of the universe, in silence, without knowing, without feeling a thing.